hopefully, one of these Ramadans, there will be a shift. And it continues after Ramadan. Because a lot of people, once Ramadan's over, they go back to their old habits. They don't read the Quran like they were during Ramadan. They don't do the night prayers like they were doing during Ramadan. Whereas Ramadan is that reminder and call back to it. And one of the most important things in our religion is a commitment to the Book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ said that he was, umirtu an akuna min al-muslimin wa an atlu al-Quran, like I was commanded to be from among the Muslims, but also to recite the Quran, which also means to follow the Quran. And this is one of the beauties of Arabic, is tilawa means both recitation, but it also means to follow. So talaha, to follow it. So yatlu al-Quran means to follow the Quran, but it also means to recite the Quran. And part of the secret of reciting the Quran and studying the Quran is that it will keep you in a vigilant state, because it is a dhikr. It's a dhikr al-hakim. It's the wise reminder. So it's always reminding you. And one of the most interesting the Prophet ﷺ recited Qaf constantly. And it made me think a lot about the secret, like what are the secrets that are in this book that would have him reciting it constantly. There's one of the women, Hisham bint al-Haritha, she shared an oven with the Prophet because they had communal ovens. And so the tanur, they would go and they bake the whatever they were baking, and the bread. And she had a communal oven with the Prophet, so she saw the Prophet a lot. But she said that she memorized, she said, أَخَذْتُ قَافْ مِنْ لِسَانِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ. I took the Qaf from the Prophet because he recited it so often. So she actually memorized it from just hearing the Prophet ﷺ. It's the only surah that we know that he actually gave a khutbah with Qaf. And in one riwayah it says many times. Like he would often use Qaf as the source of his khutbah. And one of the tragedies of modern khutbahs is traditionally the khutbah was focused on the Quran, on an ayah or on a hadith or on some theme inside, like sabr or sadaqah or something. And if you look at all the traditional khutbahs of the Muslim world, and we have many books of khutbahs, but we also have the khutbahs that were recorded of the Prophet ﷺ. You won't find any political khutbahs. You just won't find any, I guarantee you. Just look, try to find talking about whatever the problems of the time were. The khutbah was always to try to call people back to their Lord. Partly because the ulama understood that the reason there was so much social unrest is that people weren't connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if they wanted to really get over the social unrest, they had to come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because a lot of what happens to us in the world is a direct result of our actions and our behavior. These are the tabi'at, the consequences of living sinful lives, being far from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you look at the khutbahs of the Prophet ﷺ, it was all wild. He was reminding them, calling them back to Allah. And that's this chapter in the Quran, which is the 50th chapter of the Quran. It's one of those chapters that it's very, if you really study it and read it a lot, and one of the great gifts of reading the Quran continuously, especially these surah that we read on a regular basis, like Yasin or Al-Waqi'ah or Surah Al-Mulk. If you really pay attention, you will continue to see things in them. I mean, one of my favorite stories is from Sheikh Ahmed Dugan, who was a great scholar from Al-Ahsa, Jawatha in Arabia, in the eastern province. And he was a really brilliant scholar, but he was a great faradi. And he taught for about 70 years or even more. He taught the Rahbiya, and he taught the books on Ilm al-Fara'id, Tariqat, which the Prophet said was the first knowledge that would be lost. That was the first outward knowledge. There's another hadith, the first inward knowledge was khushu', which is this kind of awe of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But his son told me that one day he came out of his room and he just said, Bab as-Sudus ajaib, Bab as-Sudus ajaib. And he's had some kind of opening about, I mean, Bab as-Sudus is a very interesting bab because there's a lot of situations where people get a sixth in inheritance. But he was seeing something, and we have books written on the inner meanings of all of these acts of worship. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put this between al-Hujurat and the Dhariyat. So the Hujurat is a very interesting chapter because it's really about adab and how, in fact, it's called the Hujurat, which are the places where the Prophet ﷺ lived, which is the real adab is inside the home, because people often have decorum outside the home, but how they behave inside the home reveals who they really are. And the Prophet ﷺ was a completely open book. We know everything about the Prophet. We know how he showered. We know everything about the Prophet ﷺ. He lived a life without there's no shadow. There's no hidden self. We know exactly how he lived. And so it's followed by Qaf. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the title of the surah is Qaf. One of the titles it's given in the Itqan by Imam Suyuti is Al-Basiqat, which is mentioned in the Quran, and some say that's an ism ijtihadi, that it's something they called it. But generally, the titles of the surah of the Quran are basically from something mentioned in the Quran, so it's obviously very important. But this begins with what are called the muqatta'at. So these muqatta'at are the letters that begin 28 of the chapters of the 114 chapters in the Quran. So there are 28 chapters that begin with the muqatta'at.